Birds fill our lives with joy and wonder. We are constantly entertained by their song. We enjoy observing their vibrant colors, watching their unique expressions, and laughing at their antics. Some birds are with us year-round, and some migrate from afar only to stay a few weeks of the year. Either way, birds bring us joy. These feathered friends have earned a special place in our lives. And what can bring more joy than a little free spirit with a beautiful song to sing? There is something very special about the joy of having birds around. From that first rousing welcome to the day, the universal dawn chorus, the often mysterious sounds of the birds is almost constant. Birding is one of the fastest growing and most participated in outdoor recreation activities in the United States. Millions of Americans enjoy birding at some level, some quite fanatically. The U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service put the 2011 estimated population of birders 16 years of age and older at around 47 million. That's about 20% of the population. The average birder is 53 years old and more than likely has a better than average income and education. She is slightly more likely to be female and highly likely to be white. There's also a good chance that this birder lives in the South in an urban area. Backyard birding is the most prevalent form of birding, with 88% of participants watching birds from the comfort of their homes. 38% of birders travel more than a mile from home, visiting both private and public lands.
It's interesting to look at our typical customer. As a backyard wild bird store, I would say that 95% of our customers, maybe higher, are what I call casual backyard birders. And there's a difference between what we call field birders and casual backyard birders. Personally, I do both. I do a lot of backyard birding, but I actually go out into the field. I'm the type of birder that will chase rare bird sightings. If I hear about a bird that showed up somewhere that's unusual, I will drop everything and run out into the field and go see that bird. And there are a lot of serious field birders, but they're different than our core customer. Our core customer is seriously a casual backyard birder. Oftentimes I'll get a customer in the store and I'll say, "So what kind of birds are you seeing in your yard?" And they're like, "I have no idea. I just enjoy feeding them." It's like, that's cool. So identification isn't that important to them. It's just the enjoyment they receive from seeing the birds in their yard and watching the bird behavior in their yard.
Birders are quite serious about it too, spending millions of dollars each year on equipment and travel. Trip-related expenditures include food, lodging, transportation, and other incidental expenses.
We were fortunate enough to find this place here in Hereford, right between the major canyons of Ash, Miller, and Carr canyons. Each of those canyons being world-renowned for birding, especially hummingbirds. And we started our bed and breakfast catering to birders, not only from the United States, from all over the world. We've been doing this for now 11 years, in our 12th year right now. And we've had guests from every state, from foreign countries, including Australia, New Zealand, Hungary, the UK, most of the Canadian provinces we've had guests from. And we're very proud of what we've accomplished here. We're very proud. Our first year in business, we had 21 nights of occupancy. We have 2 rooms, so 21 nights out of 365 days, we weren't sure that we had picked the right business. But those 21 nights have grown exponentially, and we do more than 250 nights of occupancy currently, with many of those nights being return guests.
What kinds of birds are they looking at? 75% of away-from-home birders reported observing waterfowl like ducks and geese, making those the most watched type of bird. Birds of prey such as hawks, eagles, and owls were also popular, with 72% of birders, followed in popularity by songbirds such as cardinals and robins, and other water birds such as herons and shorebirds.
We've been here since '03, and immediately upon getting out of the U-Haul with all of our furniture, I noticed a blue bird in the backyard that I misidentified as a scrub jay, only to realize in short order that it was a Mexican jay. And that went down as our first yard bird. And in our tenure here, our list has grown from that first Mexican jay to a list of 173 species having been seen in or from our half-acre piece of land here. Most people know of Arizona as a great place for hummingbirds, and we've seen 12 different species of hummingbirds on our property. Many warbler species, including painted redstart, 4 owl species, including our annually nesting elf owl. Some of the rare birds that we've had, rare for this location, we've had a Lewis's woodpecker one time. We had a pinyon jay show up one fall. Another very good bird for down here is a buried thrush. It showed up long enough for us to get a few photos and for my wife to come out and confirm my sighting. Probably 11, 12 species of sparrows, including a clay-colored sparrow, fox sparrow, white-throated sparrow, and just about all the others expected to be seen in southeast Arizona. We probably have 25 to 30 species that we consider resident, that they're here year-long, such as cactus wren, curve-billed thrasher, acorn, ladderback, and Gila woodpeckers. But in the fall, we get an influx of what we call winter migrants, northern flicker. And then of course there's those migrants both in spring and fall that come and arrive in late March through the first part of May on their northern migration back to their breeding grounds. That includes a lot of the warbler species. White-throated sparrow is eastern vagrant that shows up periodically. The thing about birds is anything can show up at any place at any point in time.
Birders spend money on a variety of goods and services for their trip-related and equipment-related purchases. In 2011, the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service put the total expenditures for birding at $41 billion. Yes, that was billion with a B.
One of the economic impacts that we bring to the community is that we are a knowledge-based business. You can buy birdseed at probably 20 different stores in the Prescott area. We sell more birdseed than anything else. Believe it or not, last year we sold about 700,000 pounds of birdseed, which is really phenomenal for a small backyard wild bird store.
Equipment expenses consist of binoculars, cameras, camping equipment, and other costs.
And then from there, it's just, a mixture of hummingbird feeders and bird baths and yard art and things like that.
By having ripple effects throughout the economy, all this spending is only part of the economic impact of birding. The effect on the economy in excess of direct expenditures is known as the multiplier effect.
Not only are we supporting employees. We have 10 employees who support their families through our business. We're also closely affiliated with a lot of nonprofits in our community and organizations that are like-minded, and we contribute a lot financially to organizations within our community that are doing things to create awareness of the natural environment and protection of birds and habitat. We do have an economic impact within our community and through sales tax collection and things like that.
Most serious birders subscribe to several magazines published specifically for the activity. There are hundreds, if not thousands, of websites worldwide that cater to birders. One such site is Peggy Coleman's Facebook page, Birding, Arizona and the Southwest.
One of my guests from Phoenix suggested that I get on a Facebook page dedicated to birding and bird photography. It was started by a lady named Peggy Coleman. I was able to convince her to come down and see what it was like, and she photographed here in the garden and loved it and posted her pictures, and I started posting images of birds from down here, and it generated a tremendous response from the greater Phoenix area. All have been coming south now to do their birding and bird photography. Social media such as Facebook, offers a tremendous opportunity for small businesses like mine and the other 7 or 8 that are down here.
Additionally, many other general nature magazines, calendars, and websites have birds and bird watching as part of their content, and books.
Fantastic.
Look at any serious birder's library and you will typically find dozens of reference volumes on bird finding, bird identification, and ornithology. Software, in the form of CDs and downloadable apps, have also become very popular for bird identification. One increasingly popular side shoot of this birding business is bird photography.
I personally used to do a lot of bird photography when I was a child, and I really found a lot of enjoyment in bird photography. But as I got older, I got more serious about birding, and I stopped doing bird photography, and I've never gotten back into it. A lot of our customers do bird photography, and I find personally that it's very hard to mix bird watching and photography. You need to have one focus or the other. It's hard to commingle those two emphases. But I find that people who are excellent photographers are also excellent bird watchers. Bird watching is easy. You just need a simple field guide and maybe a pair of binoculars. But photography requires better equipment and certainly more time in the field to get the good shots.
When I started birding, I was hoping I would see 700 life birds in North America. 700 Club is pretty exclusive. There's probably less than 1,000 birders with that number. I'm in the mid-600s, but once I moved here, I became more passionate about my photography and believing that any rare bird is going to show up here in my yard eventually. So I've lost track of my counting. But in general, birders are very passionate, if not compulsive, about wanting to add to their life lists. We cater to a lot of folks that are return visitors because they missed a bird or 2 birds or 3 bird species that they really want to add to that growing list. You know, our current guest, Jack Sheldon from Mesa, is a brand new birder. He started in May. And so the very common birds in the garden, common to me, are new to him. And he shared his photographs with me of an oriole, a very uncommon bird for this time of the year. A Scott's oriole showed up, and he got a killer shot of it. But yet there's the Mexican jays and the titmice and the nuthatch, which are common, but not to him. And I see that in our guests, and I feed off of their excitement and their enthusiasm and their passion. And when they get excited over a bird that I see and know to be common, I get enthused and react. And so birders feed off of each other's passion and enthusiasm. And that makes even the most mundane bird, a house sparrow, exciting if you get a better photograph of it or you see it in a different light.
Birders who don't necessarily want to travel far and wide in their pursuit of that next bird on their life list can set up a backyard garden to bring the birds to them.
In order to attract the birds, you have to provide 3 essentials: food, water, and cover. And my yard is set up pretty much like that. I've got brush piles behind where I'm sitting, a lot of foliage around the feeder location. Standard feeders, hanging feeders for seed, sock feeders for the goldfinches and siskins, suet baskets. The photographers really don't want to shoot a bird on a feeder, so I find deadfalls that have nice grain, nice contour, and nice cavity locations where I can stuff suet into these holes. And so the birds coming to water want to come from a hidden location, coming out of the oak trees down to the high perches before going down to the water. And when they do so, they also find the hidden goodies, peanuts or suet stuffed into crevices of the perches. Also, we have hummingbird feeders throughout the garden. So provide water, provide food and cover, and voila, you've got it. I also have a photo blind. My initial thought was the birds will not come in if I'm sitting out in the open, only to find out that the blind is a blind to myself. It restricts my vision, and I could probably shoot just as well sitting outside the blind, right in the open. I feed a mixed seed, go through probably 100 pounds a month during the wintertime. Suet, instead of buying the pre-made cakes of suet, we make our own. I use a recipe furnished by Cornell Lab of Ornithology. It's a mixture of oatmeal, cornmeal, flour, lard, and peanut butter. And it's a high energy mix that the birds just absolutely love, especially during the wintertime when other food sources are limited.
Probably the most important thing you can do to attract birds to your yard is to create an inviting habitat in your yard. Habitat dictates whether you're going to be able to invite and attract nature to your yard in general. If you have a really sterile yard with like rock landscaping with a few non-native trees and shrubs, you're not going to attract a lot of birds to your yard. Birds' needs are a lot like ours. They need a place to rear young. They need a place for shelter. They need food. Well, where do birds get their food? Where do they shelter? Where do they rear young? It's in trees and shrubs. They build their nests. They hunker down at night. They roost at night in trees and shrubs. If you want to attract hummingbirds, yeah, native plants is great. Feeders help, but habitat is the most critical piece to attracting birds to your yard. And same for seed eaters and suet eaters, insect eaters.
I think there was a movie, Field of Dreams, when there was a line that person said, "If you build it, they will come." And they built a ball field out of a cornfield, and sure enough, they came. Well, my cornfield is my garden here with a water feature, beautiful natural appearing perches for the birds, and of course, food. And over the years, the yard has evolved into an absolutely perfect location for bird photography, or those that just want to bird in a casual way, sitting on the patio where I am right now, and with a wonderful view of the bird photography location, and sit with a beer, iced tea, a good book, and enjoy.
As any birder can tell you, bird song is a great uplifter of the human spirit. When you spend too much time cooped up in an office or driving the little ones to their dance recitals and play dates, one misses the melodies. It's hard to hear their songs above the honking taxis, speeding cars, and the sheer pace and pressure of life. I'll take the honk of a Canada goose any day.